Back in early 2000s, few studios carried as much hype as Lionhead. Peter Molyneux, the creator of Fable series, had just come off the ambitious Black and White, a game where you didn't just play God, you were the god. So when Black and White 2 launched in 2005, expectations were sky high. Bigger battles, better graphics, a smarter creature, and more choices that would shape entire civilizations. This was supposed to be the God game of 2005. But did it live up to the hype, or did the weight of ambition once again topple Lionhead's grand vision? Let's dive into Black and White 2, its history, its gameplay, its story, how it was received, and where it stands today. The story of Black and White 2 starts long before its release in 2005. To understand it, we need to rewind to the late 1990s. Lionhead Studios, founded in 1997 by Peter Molyneux after leaving Bullfrog, quickly became known for ambitious, experimental games. Their first project, Black and White, released in 2001, put players in the role of a god guiding a tribe, controlling a divine hand, performing miracles, moral choices, and a massive AI-controlled creature that did your bidding. Was it building, entertaining the population, gathering resources, fighting, or if you were a god, give it a free will to do as it pleases? You also had to train it to reflect the creature you want it to be. It was unlike anything else, but it was also plagued by clunky mechanics and bugs. Still, it sold strongly and its concept was bold enough to guarantee a sequel. Development on Black and White 2 began soon after. This time Lionhead wanted to fix the first game's flaws. A smarter, more responsive creature AI with less randomness and more player control. A shift toward city building and real-time strategy mechanics appealing to the fans of Age of Empires and Warcraft. A refined morality system with more noticeable visual and mechanical differences between good and evil paths, and better graphics, more stability and larger battles, which were made possible by the newer hardware. The game was developed by Lionhead Studios and released by EA on October 7, 2005 for PC, while a Mac port was planned but it was never released. A standalone expansion, Battle of the Gods, followed in 2007, adding new miracles, new challenges, and the long-requested feature of a rival god who actively opposed the player. This expansion was considered closer to what fans had hoped for originally, though it still wasn't a massive overhaul. Black and White 2 was marketed as the ultimate god simulator, a mix of moral choices, city building, epic battles, and the return of the giant creature AI, now supposedly smarter, more obedient, and more customizable than before. Ultimately, Black and White 2 became one of the Lionhead's defining titles, sitting between its breakthrough hit Fable, released in 2004, and the studio's eventual closure in 2016 under the Microsoft. Oh, the good old Microsoft. The core of Black and White 2 revolves around one idea. You are a god, and your people live or die by your actions. You could be a good god, or a bad god, or mix in between. The choice was given to the player how they want to shape their people and their culture. You didn't directly control your villagers, instead you act through a giant divine hand, picking up resources, tossing people around, or drawing symbols to cast miracles. Your influence radiates from your towns, expanding as your population grows, or shrinks depending on how you treat them. City building was one of the major additions compared to the first game. Villagers construct homes, workshops, fields, and civic buildings, but you have the freedom to place those structures wherever you want as long as they are in your area of influence, as well as help with the building by picking up resources and using them on the builds. Your creature had option to build too, although personally, for me it was a bit unreliable due to the pathfinding issues it often had. Happiness of your people also was tied to the food, shelter and safety, forcing you to manage resources efficiently and placing warehouses on the right paths to cut down the time they need to deliver those resources well to the warehouse. Good gods built orderly, beautiful cities with ornate temples and lush gardens. Evil gods create grim fortresses filled with spikes, prisons, and oppressive architecture. This visual feedback made alignment much more tangible than in the first game. And the creature we mentioned, well, it returned, bigger and better. You start by choosing one of the several animals, ape, cow, wolf, lion, and tiger, which was available only via collector's edition of the game. Each animal had unique animations and traits. For example, the lion was amazing fighter when trained well, while the cow, well, it was good at looking after your towns. Those creatures learned from your actions. Praise it for good deeds by petting it, or punish it for bad behavior by slapping it. You can teach it to help villagers, plant crops, heal the sick, or throw fireballs at enemies, poop on the houses, and much more than that. It visibly changes too. A good creature grows angelic and noble, while an evil creature warps into a monstrous, twisted version of itself. The creature's role could swing from village mascot to an apocalyptic weapon. You could set it loose on the armies or train it to quietly help with the city upkeep. This flexibility was one of the game's strongest points, and training your creature, while simple, it was a fun addition when you spotted misbehaving. For example, playing with villagers, eating villagers, pooping on villager houses, and other mischievous stuff. And the morality we mentioned wasn't just cosmetic. A benevolent god had access to miracles like rain, healing, and growth, which helped develop your towns faster. An evil god unlocked destructive miracles like fireballs, earthquakes, and volcanoes, which basically did the opposite, but usually for the enemy. Alignment also shaped how you expanded. A good god could peacefully convert enemy villages by impressing them with culture and prosperity, and villagers would abandon their settlements to join yours when enough impressiveness was achieved. An evil god would burn them down and enslave the survivors. Whichever you choose, villagers join you, as only doing fighting are the armies. And on topic of armies, the other major addition was large-scale armies. You could recruit soldiers, train them into platoons, and march them into battle, which made them stronger the more they fight and win the battles. Battles involved sieging enemy walls, archers, and infantry lines clashing in the fields or breaching, well, enemy walls to enter them forcefully, as well as throwing in-game objects as rocks to damage enemy buildings and armies. I mean, heck, you could technically smash enemy army with a rock if you wanted on your own. While this system added spectacle to the fighting, it wasn't as deep as traditional RTS titles. Still, it gave the game weight, especially for players who wanted conquest rather than peaceful expansion. And on topic of armies, we have miracles that we mentioned, such as fireballs. Casting miracles remained one of the most satisfying features. Drawing shapes with your mouse triggered effects such as fireballs that hurled into enemy units when positioned correctly, water miracles to heal crops, grow trees, or extinguish fires, earthquakes to, well, devastate cities, and divine shield to protect your own from archers, soldiers, and catapults. Combined with the creature, this gave you multiple ways to approach challenges at hand. Perhaps the best part of Black and White 2 was its flexibility. You could play as a city builder, a warmonger, or a hands-off deity who let the creatures do the heavy lifting. Missions often leaned toward combat, but the sandbox mode let players experiment freely, building utopias or unleashing chaos without any restraint. Oh, and there was exactly one expansion, the Battle of the Gods expansion, which added new miracles like the Meteor Shower and Plague of Loctus, plus new challenges, maps, and crucially, a rival god to actively oppose you. This addition finally gave players a sense of competition missing in the base game. The story of Black and White 2 begins with a tragedy. After the events of the first game, your godly presence is nearly wiped out by an invading army. Only a small band of followers remain that you save, and it's up to you to rebuild your power and protect them. As you guide your people, you're confronted by two advisors, one angelic and one demonic, both constantly bickering in your ear, representing good and evil choices. Do you build up peaceful cities and win followers through love, or conquer them through fear and destruction? Your journey spans multiple lands, each with different challenges. Some tribes can be swayed through diplomacy, while others only bow after their armies are crushed. The campaign culminates in massive battles against rival civilizations, testing both your armies and your creature, and in the Battle of the Gods expansion, you finally face a rival deity directly, fighting for control of your followers and proving who the true god is. It's not a deep and complex story, but it provides enough framework for the moral choices and player-driven narrative that define the series. Be a good god or be an evil god. Choice is given to you. When Black and White 2 released, critics praised its ambition, but once again noted that the execution fell short of Molyneux's promises. The graphics were stunning for 2005, with lush landscapes and detailed cityscapes. The creature AI was much improved compared to the first game, feeling less chaotic and more responsive. The moral choice system gave players freedom to play their own way, and the mix of city building, god powers and large-scale battles felt unique in the gaming landscape. But of course, where there's positive, there is also negatives. Many reviewers felt that the RTS mechanics were shallow compared to the dedicated strategy games. Armies often lacked tactical depth, making battles really repetitive. The creature, while improved, still had moments of frustrating unpredictability. And yeah, that's one of the things that plagued my gameplay too. Some missions forced combat, frustrating players who wanted a purely peaceful playthrough. And I raise my hand to this because combat missions, if you want to go full in, are a headache to do. Because you need people, and to make people you need breeders. But only men can go into armies, which makes this RNG. And even as today, people back then didn't like the RNG of this game. I mean, heck, you could force women into armies, but you had basically to force them on the tents that recruited the army. But yeah, as with many Lionhead games, the gap between Molyneux's hype and the final product was noticeable. And the scores reflected this divide. IGN gave it a 7.6 out of 10, calling it ambitious but flawed. PC Gamer scored it 78 out of 100, praising the visuals but criticizing shallow mechanics we mentioned. And the fans? Well, they were split. Some loved the freedom, others found it underwhelming. Black and White 2 was definition of an ambitious sequel. It fixed many of the original game's problems, introduced large-scale warfare, and polished the creature system. But in doing so, it also lost some of the weird experimental magic that made the first game so unforgettable. It wasn't quite a perfect god game Molyneux promised, but it was still a bold experiment in blending genres. For many players, it remains a nostalgic favorite, a game where building a utopia or unleashing firestorms felt equally valid options. Sadly, the series ended here. With Lionhead closure in 2016, hopes for Black and White 3 were extinguished. But the legacy of the game lives on in the memories of its fans, a reminder of when god games dared to be strange, ambitious, and larger than life. With that said, it's time to end the video, and thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.
We now have enough food. We need to get our people working if we want to rebuild, boss. Villagers can be turned into disciples who will work at the job you assign them. Pick up a villager, then put them down on a field. Now place the villager down over the field. Those farmers can handle that small field with no problem, boss. We need wood if our villages are to build and our town expand. Grab and pull a tree out of the ground and drop it into the storehouse. We could really do with some discipled foresters to collect wood for us. Pick up a villager and drop them next to a tree to make them a discipled forester. Make a total of 3 foresters. Now, place the villager next to a tree. We got some nifty forest thing going on, boss. The statues on your town center represent your town's desires. This shows what your people would like to build next. Keeping your people happy is important, and they will let you know if they desire a building type. See how the statue is carrying grain? That represents the people's desires for food. If they need ore or wood, they will let you know. Keep an eye on the statue, as it will change. This plinth's height represents how good or evil you are. From its top, a flame or a fountain will spring as you perform evil or good acts. The whole city will shift to show you if you are good or evil. This statue lets you know your people's desires. Watch the height of the statue. The higher it is, the more they need their desire. This scroll shows the impressiveness of your city, its population and happiness. There is plenty of other useful information about your growing metropolis. Refer to it often. Hold your hand over the statues and leave it there to get more detail. Your people desire houses. Move your hand over the rotating building, then click and hold the action button to drag it off. We'll need the right buildings and food if we're gonna support a powerful army. Click the action button again to place it down. That's right. Keep going. We can speed it up by picking up a tree and dropping it on the building. Now, drop the tree over the house foundation. See the pile of wood there? Your villagers will use that to build the house with.
Disciple builder.
You can also drag a building blueprint of an existing house. Move your hand over the existing house. Hold down the action button and drag to get the blueprint. If you want to cancel an action and empty your hand, simply shake it briskly left and right.